Let me show you how to show the intraday trading income or loss in the income tax return. Along with that, we'll also share which ITR form is to be chosen in case you have intraday trading income. Following are the details of the intraday transactions entered into by the taxpayer. The taxpayer has entered into 4 intraday transactions during the financial year 24-25. Now, the first step would be to calculate the net profit or loss from the intraday trading income. First of all, we'll be calculating the net profit or loss for each of these 4 transactions. On the first transaction, the selling amount was 98,400 and the purchase amount was 81,100. So the net profit would be 17,300. Likewise, we'll be calculating the net profit or loss for each of the transactions. That would be and a loss of 9,235. Now, the sum total of the profit or loss that has been incurred by the taxpayer is 30,070 rupees. So, the answer to step 1 would be 30,070 rupees. Now, the next step would be to calculate the turnover from the intraday trading. Now, how do we calculate that? For intraday transactions, the turnover would be calculated for each of the transaction individually. And the turnover for each transaction would be the absolute value of the net profit or loss earned in that transaction. Now let's see what does this mean. In the first transaction, the profit that was earned was rupees 17,300. And thus the turnover for this transaction would be the absolute value of the profit earned, which means the profit for this transaction would be 17,300 only. And again, for the second transaction, it would be 30,180. Now, in case of transactions in which we incurred losses, the turnover would again be the absolute value, which means for a loss of 8,175 in the third transaction, the turnover for that transaction would be 8,175 only, meaning we'll just be ignoring the negative sign. Again, in the fourth transaction, the turnover would be 9,235. Here again, we ignore the negative sign. And thus, the total turnover from intraday transaction would be 64,890. So, the value of step 2 has also been calculated. Now, the big question is, which ITR form is to be chosen in case of intraday transactions? The intraday transactions are nothing but business transactions as per the Income Tax Act. To be very specific, the incomes or losses that we earn through intraday transactions are nothing but speculative business income or loss. Yes, you heard that right. Any income or loss that is earned through intraday transactions are to be considered as business income. And to be very specific, it's a speculative business income. The reason why I'm stressing on the word speculative is because we'll have to disclose this separately in the income tax return. The speculative business incomes or losses are disclosed separately in the income tax return. And since it's a business income, the ITR form to be chosen would be ITR 3. So make sure while you disclose these intraday transactions for a taxpayer, you should disclose this in ITR 3. And that too specifically as a speculative business transaction. So these are the details that you would be required to calculate the income or loss in case of intraday transactions.